Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. We're here at a special time than our normal to accommodate our amazing guest today. We got a lot to talk about. We have energetically, we have a lot going on. We have the holidays coming up, and we absolutely have an amazing guest. My name is Richard. I'm a intuitive medium, psychic medium, if you will, and I have my co-host, amazing co-host, Miss Pauline Raffaella. How you doing today, Pauline?
Hi, good day. Good early day, Richard,
I
today.
know I'm all out of kind of sorts here. I'm usually in our 3 o'clock hour, but
Yes.
12:30, I'm excited though. Today is going to be a really amazing day. Um, so let's hop into it. What do we have going on universally speaking? Because we got a lot out there.
There's so much going on energetically, as so many people know, but today is 12/12. And so it is believed that there is a portal that opens on powerful days, 11/11, 12/12. These are also considered angel numbers, and in numerology, they usually have significant meaning. So today's 12/12 portal, it's very interesting. It is the day of what is called Our Lady of Guadalupe, and it is also connected to the Blessed Mother. And so this is a day of love. It is what do you have there?
Oh, Lynn's prayer card.
Oh,
So I always keep this.
yes.
Every time I do an event, anytime I do readings, my mom's picture and Lynn's prayer card are always with me.
Yes. Yeah. And so, this is a day of, we could also call in or bring in Ascended Masters Kuan Yin on this as well. Okay. These are the divine feminine energies of love and compassion. So if you're doing any healing work around 12/12 today and expanding anything today and healing anything, make your focus about your heart. Love, compassion, healing, expanding your vibration of love within yourself, toward others, toward the world. If you're having a problem, sending that out to others, just send it out to the world, because we know that love is the answer, and we know that vibrationally, as soul beings, that is our true nature, that is our true vibration. And I lived in that for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I lived in that love vibration completely without ego, and then I had to come back and sort of reintegrate the ego into that. But I know what it feels like, and it really is the most purest compassion. You have no judgment. There is no right and left, and there is no right and wrong. There is really just love. And that doesn't mean that things that happen aren't tragic or horrible, but your perception of how you see these things comes from a soul-based compassion. Okay, so it's
Mm,
very different. So try to embrace that today.
I love that. I love that. People need to have more compassion. They need to have also compassion for themselves, especially with the holidays coming up. I think people really need to give themselves some grace, really be mindful and show self-care. I know with families coming up that, maybe there are family dynamics that are not the healthiest, and we go through the motions because we feel guilty or we have to because it's always been done that way. And speaking from experience, is that honor yourself, and it's okay to rewrite new traditions and new things. It's okay to spend time with people that are going to enjoy you as much as you enjoy others, and not put yourself in compromising, detrimental experiences. I've had to do that. I've had to do that and practice that myself. So, I just sit back and honor that and give yourself compassion. I
Yes.
love it. And
Yes.
quick question, Pauline, when is this retrograde over?
was waiting for you to ask
Holy
that. I know.
mackerel. I need
I,
to take the seatbelt
I
off
know.
and my
Oh,
crash helmet.
so we actually have two retrogrades that are really impacting us right now, and it's Mercury, all right, planet of communication, and it's Mars, planet of war, action. And so we're in this retrograde. So, if you find yourself in an internal battle, that okay, fighting, the demon on one side and the angel on the other, or just finding yourself, in a battle with what's happening in the world, and just know that, this is all to help us come out of this sort of fighting energy, out of this divisive energy. And when we think about divisiveness, where are we divided within ourselves, right? Where are we not tuned in to our higher self? And so look at these energies as a review, as a revisit, as a restructuring. Oh man, I guess the universe wants me to look at something else. Do I have to look at something else about myself? Yes, you do. So it's very soon. I believe the retrogrades will be finished very shortly. I think the Mercury may be done on the 15th, a couple of more days, and Mars, uh, we're either just coming out of that, or it's all very soon. I have predicted from the time we've been talking about all these Pluto retrogrades and all of the eclipses, I have said by the holidays, sort of by Christmas, we will be in a different energy. And how lovely for people who enjoy the holidays. There's Hanukkah right before Christmas. It's a very sacred time of year with Hanukkah, Christmas, and then the New Year. I'm not a big New Year's person going out and celebrating, but it is a very important symbolic day. I don't believe in resolutions. I believe in saying I'll just become a better version of myself in the new year with more acceptance and love for myself and others. And so it's a very important time of year between the Jewish holidays, the Catholic holidays, and the New Year. So we should be leading into 2025 with some very new energy. And I will be talking a little more about that next week.
I love it. And two, I agree with that. I don't do resolutions, I do affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been my saying is that, I don't want to, bring the new year, bring this, my teacher, Patricia, always used to say, Richard, affirm. And she would
Yes.
hit the table, affirm and put the words into motion in the universe, and where thoughts go energy flows. And so
Yes.
I affirm and create,
Yes.
and I use that as an opportunity to manifest and project and illuminate the path that I will and you can walk. And that's
Yes.
simple. We don't need all that, kind of stuff. And, New Year's present, we're going to have a better year. And, well, you can if you want. You can always have a better year, you
Well,
know?
yes, and how people have always said, well, I really need the new year to come in because I can't stand this year, so it better be a new year. Well, it's going to be what you make it,
Yes.
right? It's going to be what you make it. And next week we do have a great show. We'll be talking about like the power of creation and manifestation and some of these new energies coming in. We'll be doing some readings. We'll be doing some energy healings right online. So um, get ready for some beautiful big stuff to happen if you're open, if you connect to it, and if you step into it.
Yeah, so next Thursday we're back at 3 o'clock. So
Yes.
if you have, and again, it's the show before Christmas and the holidays. So if you have questions for Pauline or myself, you're looking for messages from loved ones, energy readings,
Yes.
whatever that might be, give us a call, or even leave your comments. I will tell you, if you're looking to hear from loved ones, comments are a little hard. I need the kind of energy of the words and the vibration of the words that makes it a lot easier. So I'm just going to let you know with that one. So
Yeah.
you can give us a call. We'll be back at 3 o'clock for an amazing show for the holidays.
Yeah.
So,
Call in for
prepare.
a reading and call in if you want a specific little energy healing. We'll be doing that next week, and
Yeah,
I'm
so give us
excited.
a call. And
Yes.
that's that's going to be the best way. And yeah, so we'll be back. And so Maribel, hello, Maribel. How are you? All right, let's get into our amazing guest. I am
Yes.
so excited to have her back. I'm so excited. She's got great energy. I know she's watching before she comes in, but let's bring her in.
Let's.
I'll let you introduce her.
Ah, there she is. Our favorite naturopathic doctor, Dr. Pina Logiudice. Okay, and so let me just introduce you. She's an amazing doctor, warm-hearted, caring naturopath who, through her own illness journey, found a way to heal herself, help herself, and was inspired to help others. She has been on the Dr. Oz show, who has hailed her as an amazing naturopath, and there's so much more to say about her. And we just love her. And I want to welcome you back, my friend Pina.
Oh, thank you guys so much. It's so good to be here. I so enjoy talking to both of you. I definitely miss you when I don't see you.
Yes, yes. Well, you and I have to we have to get together. I need to come to your place and see a
Yeah,
few things that we
absolutely.
need to chat. So just so Dr. Pina is on Long Island. She's amazing. She's booked. She's busy. People fight to get in to see her.
I try to keep a peaceful environment though.
Peaceful environment, yes. So welcome. So we're going to talk a little about how to try to stay healthy through these holidays, right? We know that this is a time of a little sort of excess enjoyment in the flesh, a little extra drinking, a little extra sugar, a little extra pounds come on, right? And so any advice that you can give us and our listeners, we are ready to hear it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And hi, Richard. It's good to see you too.
Hi, Dr. Pina. I was waiting for Pauline so I can kind of we've missed you. Thank you. I hope you've been well, and I love having you back. And you have amazing energy, and I know our listeners are really going to benefit how to handle and navigate body, mind, spirit the holidays. So thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to see
Yeah,
you.
no, it's always an honor and a privilege. I mean, holiday time is always such an interesting time because it's such a mix of, excitement for people and, getting people together and time of celebration, but also there's so much like stress and angst that goes with it. I mean, probably the first thing that I tell patients, or anyone for that matter, is really, I mean, and it's not even just about holiday time. At all times, it's about protecting your peace. So really going into the holiday, you want to go into it where it's always with the self check-in, being like, okay, you may be where you have to get a million things done, but you get to set the tone and the pace of your day. Every human being is going to have a tornado in their life, and the choice is either you want to be whipped around it, in the frenzy and what's going on, or what I tell patients to do is to step outside of it. You could be the observer of crazy, but you don't have to partake in it. Or ultimately, if you can get into the center of that storm and allow that go around you, that's really a great place to get to. But really, first and foremost, of knowing that you get to set the pace for your day, you get to set the pace for the holiday as well. You get to decide and you get to be discerning on really who you want to hang out with, who you do want to see, who you don't want to see. There's a lot of like guilt around this holiday time with family obligations, but and I love to empower people to first tell them that guilt is a wasted emotion, number one, and that it really doesn't serve anyone. And number two, it's that you get to decide what you want to do for yourself, whether it's with those people or not. And that is the ultimate in self-empowerment. And then even with work parties and so many things that you have to do, you're allowed to make those decisions of what you're able to go to or not. So being very discerning is probably my number one, thing that I tell patients for sure.
I love that advice. So it's really being mindful and getting yourself in the right mindset so that you can get through all of the events or celebrations or whatever it is that you have going on, right? Be in your center.
Right, absolutely. I mean, because really, ultimately, with anything with life, whether you have a busy life, busy work schedule, single mom, not, single dad, any of those things, it's about how do you always start. Like for me, I always bookend my day with grounding myself. Like I start my day gathering myself, whether I do my prayers or meditation, and at the end of my day, I do the same thing because I really just want to keep my stress hormones down,
Mhm.
regulate myself, and give myself time to breathe in the day and relax and reset. Even though, like, I could have a million things to do, but if I don't put this energy behind it of angst, I actually become a lot more successful and get a lot more things done. And then my body also doesn't have to pay for that stress component, for sure. So, so it's vitally important, to be able to be mindful of yourself first and foremost.
Yeah, mindful of the adrenal stress, right? Because it is adrenal stress, right? Mental stress affects the adrenals.
Absolutely. And then, then we wonder why we just feel so off balance and dysregulated. So other things that I ask patients to do is that absolutely, absolutely like is exercise or move your body. Because again, we figure, oh, I don't have time to move my body or do these things for myself. But again, it is the ultimate in self-care and self-honoring. And I'm just talking about maybe even 15, 20 minutes. I'm not talking about that you have to, you know, do an Ironman and, and be crazy. But it is about, when you exercise, you balance your neurotransmitters, you actually strengthen your gut microbiome. Even 20 minutes a day will strengthen your gut integrity so that if you are eating foods or having an onslaught of things that your body isn't accustomed to, it will keep your immune system more in check if you could at least start regulating your day with exercise at some point. So for so many reasons that, again, it gives your brain a recheck to, to check in with yourself, as well as strengthen your body if you can continue to exercise, even though like you think you may not have time for it.
I love that. So even 10 minutes,
10
even,
minutes is
even,
So
not a lot.
I do have a question. So again, and kind of going off of the exercising and keeping a lot of the cortisol or the stress with the adrenals, things like that. So with the holidays coming up and a lot of family dynamics, whether it is toxic relationships and people have to go to the holidays, deal with their family or extended family, or they're dealing with grief. And this is a time that harbors a lot of stress and a lot of emotion. And I've gotten this with clients. They're all over the place. They don't know if they're coming and going. Their sleep patterns are totally disrupted, heart rate, anxiety. What are some natural ways, whether supplementation, dietary, you mentioned exercise, that we can handle or manage our cortisol and stress during these hard times?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, really, you always want to check in about the foundations of health, which is mindfulness, exercise, diet, and sleep. Are those like my basic, tenets? We'll even have that in my book, but like really important to make sure that those basic areas that you're always protecting and doing good things for. So with sleep, I understand that, if you have a lot of work parties or work schedules, try to moderate how late you're staying at each one. Again, you do have control of yourself and you can decide, okay, I have too much to do. I do need to get some more sleep, or even if it's not all about work events or holiday events, but even during those Christmas times, really trying to be mindful of like, okay, what time would and I always ask myself that, what time would I like to go to bed tonight? If my normal 9:30 is not reasonable, then it'd be like, okay, at least by this time, I do want to get myself packing and going so that I can honor my sleep. And then, of course, diet is going to play a huge role on all of it. If most people think, well, I want to splurge out, my mom usually makes these amazing cannolis or, lasagna or whatever it is, people are like, I'm not going to eat today. And it's probably like the worst thing that you can absolutely do, because you do want to be able to stabilize your blood sugar, and protein is a great way to do that. So have a high protein based breakfast and lunch, and then dinner, then you won't be so starving, and that you're just going to shovel everything into your mouth, and because your brain's like, I need fuel, because especially when you're trying to manage the stress, the brain even wants it even more, those like simple sugars and simple carbs. So really ensuring that you're eating throughout the day and eating cleanly those earlier times of day, so that when you're in your evening time or that evening holiday dinner, it's not just an overall free for all. And once you get those basic foundations of like making sure that you're looking at your plate, that it's not too inflammatory or too much gluten or too much dairy, or things that may be that you're trying to clean up for your health overall, like try not to go whole hog, because when your body eats foods that it doesn't like, it does take 72 hours for it to clear out of your body. So like, even though you may be enjoying it, your body's going to feel it for the next 3 days. Yeah. And so it is important to be mindful that, whatever you do on, let's say, Christmas Day, it's gonna impact for the next couple of days. And then really, there's so many beautiful supplements or botanicals that Mother Nature gave us that can help us during anxiety or for depression during holiday time. Probably for anxiety, my favorite one is like either GABA or theanine, which comes from green tea. And so this is basically what the monks drink, because when they need to have a calm alertness, when they meditate, right? Because they can't be falling asleep. They need to be alert in their own brain, but they need to have their body calm. GABA and theanine works on that inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain to allow the body to chill out, which is wonderful. And the great thing about it is that you could take some pills throughout the day and not take any for several days, and there's no interaction. Obviously, if you're on pharmaceuticals for any mood disorder, please contact somebody before taking things willy-nilly. But, as an anxiety piece, I really do like that. And of course, in there are botanicals, like chamomile or passion flower for sleep, or valerian. There's so many different things that you can take.
I love that. And a
That
lot of people
ashwagandha.
don't know where. Yeah, ashwagandha. And
Ashwagandha is a great adrenal support for sure. So again, as to manage that cortisol, like that is something that you could take several times a day.
Mhm.
And you can even take it for sleep at night, because if you feel like you primarily have that nighttime waking, because, when we sleep, it's our only time or that bedtime is our only time to ourselves, and that we can quiet ourselves. And that's really when our subconscious brain is like, hey, let's talk about this and let's figure this out, and either can prevent us from falling asleep or it'll wake us during the night. And ashwagandha is a nice choice to kind of help regulate that cortisol at night. I'm sorry, Pauline, you were going to say something else?
No, Richard.
no, it's ashwagandha is kind of a big one right now. What's the other ones? Valerian root, things like that. I guess they all kind of at some level, if you can even find a blend to help. I've had a lot of people say that, especially dealing with trauma around the family dynamic, they've been dealing with instances of feeling fight or flight. Like, is that different? I guess where the nervous system, is there anything we can take or do to help calm the nervous system?
Right. I
Um,
mean, it's very much interlinked, because what happens is when our primitive brain and our amygdala, says, okay, we're not safe, we're not okay, it's going to send a message down our big nerve, our vagus nerve, which is going to innervate our heart, our digestive tract, our nervous system, impact our adrenal glands, our stress glands. So it's a very fine interconnected system. So you can take botanicals like the ashwagandha or licorice or eleutherococcus, like botanicals that are primarily for the adrenal gland. But you're right, there are some nice blends that will also include what's called nervines, which are botanicals that calm the nervous system. And many people know that as like, chamomile or even St. John's wort. But if you're on the birth control pill, please do not take St. John's wort. It makes it ineffective. Side note, just for those ladies out there who are on the pill. But there are so many plants, like again, valerian, passion flower, as well, that just will calm the body, because there's some botanicals that calm the nerves. And there's like another one, scutellaria, which is skullcap. It's a beautiful one to calm the nervous system, that don't impact sleepiness. Like valerian and passion flower, they will calm the nervous system, but will make you a little sleepy. So those are, so you want to be mindful of what your end goal is. Is it just to kind of chill you out in the day? That's when I like, a GABA or theanine, because it keeps that calm wakefulness, or you could do the chamomile or any of those other ones at nighttime to, bring that stress hormone, down. I mean, I'm also a fan of even CBD oil. If someone does have some PTSD, not necessarily with THC in it, but really just straight up, CBD is very calming for the brain. That's you could take that during the day, or to help with sleep regulation is, another one that I like to go to.
Love that. Thank you.
All
Because
great suggestions.
yeah, even dealing with the nervous system and calming it, didn't even think about the vagus nerve. And there are some great, even vibrational frequency on YouTube meditations that you can just literally sit. There are stretches that you can do to kind of like work that vagus nerve, things like that. I love that. And that's why we have you here, Dr. Pina, giving us all
Thanks.
that insight.
Yeah, no, and the vagus nerve is super powerful. I mean, when it comes to anything, like with people who have, let's say, even chronic digestive disorders like SIBO, IBS, you have to look at the vagus nerve, because the gut-brain connection is so strong.
Yes.
And there are things, yes, to answer you first, that you can, even gargling or humming resets the vagus nerves. There's even all these really cool biohacking gadgets that they have right now that are wearable devices that can help reset the vagus nerve. So, I mean, I'm all about like technology too, but there's, again, simple things like humming, gargling, jump roping will help, the vagus nerve reset.
Interesting.
Yeah, so really like cool things that we can do to kind of, in essence, trick the brain. And the other component is, when you're dealing with stress and trauma, you really do have to look at gut health, because with that gut brain access, that connection between, what's happening in the gut. If the gut is inflamed and unhappy, it's not going to produce those components that the brain needs for a happy and healthy mood. Like all that stuff is made in the gut. It's not made up here. So it is important to like be mindful of the diet, be mindful of your behavior in the day, like even especially how you talk to yourself. The brain will listen to you. Like if you think that you're fat, ugly, you suck, you're not, all these terrible things, your body's like, okay, we have negative messaging. Let's down regulate. Let's not do good things. Like the body energetically very much listens to what our brain tells ourselves. So it's very powerful. And that in itself, if you could put your own words into check, that in itself will relax the vagus nerve too.
I love all this. This is so good. And there's something that I want to share that I do. I really should not be eating a lot of gluten, very, 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 very little gluten. And dairy really, I eat a little bit of dairy, but if I eat too much, it really does cause a lot of inflammation and it wreaks havoc. So what I do is I actually tell my body, all right, I inform my body ahead of time that something is incoming, that there's some cheese or Parmesan cheese or something coming in, and to please handle it. And I talk to my gut, my stomach, and I say, please handle this and let me know if you are needing something to help digest it. Now, I'm highly intuitive and I have a lot of knowledge of herbs and supplements and things like that. But I will get like I'll get a hit. Um, Take a little half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, or I'll get a hit. Take some peppermint tea. I'll get a hit of some food or herb, a botanical that I can take to actually help my body just digest this incoming food. Now, it's not something I do all the time, but it's like a once in a while thing over the holidays that I'll do.
Yeah, that's really smart because again, it's that same messaging to the body. Our body very much listens to us. You know, people don't think that the body can speak, but that body 100% speaks to us.
Yeah.
When we're out of balance or we have a place of disease, we're in that place of dis-ease, and that's our means of our body speaking to us as saying something needs to shift. And again, if you do quiet yourself, usually our intuition will kick in, whether it is about a certain botanical or certain nutrient or sleep or changing the diet. So, I do want to, encourage everyone to follow Pauline's example because, it is very powerful. And I think we do, we are our ultimate own self-healers. And so I think once we're able to tune into that and that we have that power and capability to heal, the body will, respond accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that somebody else can even give us the answer too, right? Somebody else might just kind of have, just off the cuff say, I just had a cup of like lemon ginger tea. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's what I need. So the answers and the information are all there. And
Always, always.
yeah,
I do think our angels and guides are always, trying there to help us. So for sure.
yes. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny, you said humming, and I use one of these techniques, toning, where when you hum, you allow it and elongate it as long as you can. And people, I get it a lot of times, I'll teach this, and people are like, well, what do I hum? Do I hum a song in pop or this? And I said, very simple. Om is one of the best things. And when you do, allow it to go on the tongue. It is so powerful. It calms you down almost instantly. Tapping is another thing that I use
Mm.
for myself. It almost EFT. And even if you don't know all the words, and if you just start, and there's some great little guided things, the meridians on the face, and you're doing this, and you get to the lymph nodes. Next thing you know, you kind of zenned out and blissed out. But when you want to do toning, you can do this in the car. I've done this walking through Target, especially when there's a lot of people, to kind of like calm and regulate my nervous system. I just chant Om, and you just allow it to kind of allow the tongue to vibrate, and you'll feel it going up, and then you feel it going down. And next thing you know, you're kind of like in your own little world, and you're smiling, and nobody knows what you're smiling about. And who cares, right? Who cares? But these are little things. And like she said, listen to your angels and your guides. They're trying to help you in all aspects. All aspects. And I love this. This is great, great stuff.
Okay, so look, there's sugar. Let's shift. Let's talk about sugar and alcohol, okay? Because those are probably the two biggest foods or beverages that are going to be consumed.
Yes.
Okay, what happens to our body? How do we handle it? How do we handle maybe a little overdose of wine and cognac and apple pie and how, because people are just going to say, hell, I'm doing it. I want it. It's there. So how do we rebalance the gut there?
Yeah, I mean, if the decision is that I'm doing this, And, then it's about like, okay, how do you buffer the hit?
Yeah.
The conversation then for sure is, if number one, if you can enjoy it, but if you can do things in moderation, that's always ideal, because that's obviously more of the impact that the body needs to take. I mean, breaking down wine and cognac, I mean, breaking down that alcohol in the liver, it's not easy. And then ultimately that alcohol gets converted into sugar. So then you're getting a double hit from the alcohol, and let alone the pies and the desserts. So what I usually tell patients is, again, when you're doing those other behavioral things in terms of mindfulness, exercise, still eating before, you go to your event, there are botanicals that I do recommend if someone's going to imbibe more than they should. Is I love milk thistle and a B complex. I know when my younger brother was going off to his bachelor party, I'm like, oh, here, take the milk thistle and B complex, and he could not believe what little of a hangover he had, and it always works. I mean, so there's milk thistle, there's another nutrient called molybdenum that allows the liver to process alcohol. That because some people genetically have a weaker liver, where they don't go through the proper 2 phases of detoxification, and their liver is inherently a little bit more sluggish. And and that's a person who, again, could have either heart disease or digestive issues, or blood sugar imbalances, or hormonal things that you can tell if the liver is a little off. And so, but I do love, milk thistle, a B complex before you go to your event. And then definitely if you could do it before you go to bed at night. And the other thing I like to help with the liver are castor oil packs. Like, I don't know, everyone's, some people see it more as a phase on TikTok and really for growing your pretty eyelashes or hair regrowth. But actually, if you just put some of the oil over the liver, you could put it with a heating pad or without, and then go to bed. That too will allow the liver to detoxify and allow your lymphatics to clean out all that extra inflammation for sure.
That's great advice, and I hope people will listen, because I'm sure there are some people who are going to overindulge a little bit. And so at least they can help their body get back into balance a little more quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and with regards to sugar, I mean, listen, everything in our body as we eat gets broken down to sugar because it is our fuel. So that's where, like, if you can stabilize your body with the proteins beforehand, rather than like not eating and then overindulging, you're not going to get such a significant sugar spike. Or even if you do have that one meal, like, really base your meal when you look at your plate about, okay, where's my protein? Where's my vegetable for that fiber to soak up everything else? And then if you have your dessert, that's when, that's where if you can try to be mindful with it, because I mean, there are things like supplement wise that people can take, like chromium or cinnamon, alpha lipoic acid are great blood sugar stabilizers. But really, when you're having those quick sudden spikes, and that's why don't be surprised if you eat a lot of it on, let's say, Christmas Day, you may crave more of it, because now you fed your microbiome like all this extra influx. And always, always, always take your probiotics so that you can kind of try to keep that regular as well.
And ingesting the sugar and alcohol too. So the candida, okay, or the yeast. Just talk to us a little bit about that and how that affects how we feel and our digestion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are, as a human being, a petri dish. We live in a petri dish. We are a petri dish. We will always and forever be surrounded by microbes in every which way. And so in our digestive tract, we have tons of different bacteria, viruses, yeast. And what happens sometimes with people, whether it's because of chronic antibiotic use or sometimes genetic, we are born that way, where we do have more yeast overgrowth in our digestive tract. And that can contribute in itself to anxiety, depression, to digestive issues, to a whole host of autoimmune issues when you do have a yeast overgrowth. Probably the most obvious is when people are just more gassy and bloated, where when you put that influx of sugar and alcohol, it's kind of like the putting the yeast to make bread, that dough rises and everything blows up. That's what happens in our intestines. So having things that will moderate, and that's why even, lowering gluten and lowering things that way will help that, basically that you yourself are not fermenting, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes. Oh no, that's all fabulous. It's all fabulous because there are people who are going to overindulge. And so even learning what to do before and after the indulgence can help, reduce the amount of indulgence in the future.
Right. I mean, and so if the next day, if you really feel like you're blown up and that there are botanicals again, like there are garlic capsules or oregano oil or caprylic acid, there are things that help will rebalance out, the yeast levels. But really ultimately is like after you've had that one day of indulgence is when you really want to get the body back on track so that it doesn't become a chronic problem. That's the issue is that, you go through all the holidays and you have like, whatever the 2 weeks that is between Christmas and New Year's, and so that it had, so come the new year when people are like, oh, I need to get myself back on track, people expect the body to make a quick turnover, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, especially if you have, pre-existing underlying issues, may take a couple of months for you to feel re-regulated.
Yeah. Great.
Hey, Dr. Pina, we have a couple of questions I want to get to.
Oh, sure.
So, on Facebook, one of our listeners wrote, Marivelle, how about a good detox? Would that make us feel better, or or the teas are fine? So basically, kind of, and this is a lot of times in the new year too, people want to do detoxes. They want to kind of reset their body. How would you, for the holidays, let's start with that. Do you suggest any good detoxes to do? And then maybe anything that we can reset our body, whether it's a fasting, whether, water
Right.
fasting is kind of a new trend right now.
Sure.
Um, so what do you suggest?
Right. So
Holidays and then resetting.
right. I mean, really, like when it's at this point in the holidays, I don't really recommend, the detox before the holidays. It's just about cleaning it up as much as you can before the holidays. After the holidays, more so, it's important to me. So technically, from a Chinese medicine standpoint, the body doesn't really like to detoxify. It only likes to detoxify in the fall and spring, in the transition of the season. It's the purge, it's a change of season to you clean out the liver and those body systems, so that's where I recommend more of a stronger detox. But if you want to reset after the new year, I do love in general what's called a fasting mimicking diet. There's a lot of research with this great researcher named Walter Longo, and he's probably the foremost expert on longevity. And he's shown that when you do a fasting mimicking type diet, not only does it reset your immune system fully, allows cancer cells to die off, to allow blood sugar to rebalance, obviously you lose weight. It's amazing at, gently detoxifying the body and resetting those insulin receptors. And so a fasting mimicking diet is basically when you're controlling, your feed window. So you're not eating for more time, basically you're fasting, if you will, and then you have a smaller calorie intake, for basically 5 days. And it's a very easy to do diet. People can do a water fast for a couple of days. Some people do fruit fasts. I mean, there are so many different ways to detoxify or reset the body. In essence, you do want to give your gut a time of rest. And that's the point of it. It's like the digestive tract does need time where it's not getting this big influx so that it can repair and restore itself and allow the immune system to rebalance. Because as soon as food goes in, a whole network of things go on to absorb and assimilate that food, and whether it's good food or not good food. Because most people forget, food is information for the body. Like if you're feeding the body bad food, don't expect the body to function well. Like if you're feeding a computer a bad computer chip, if the computer is not going to work, we are in essence the same thing. So like the more we could feed ourselves those higher quality foods, our bodies will produce more antioxidants, function better. And then when you overindulge, you really shouldn't have that much of a hit. But ideally, as you know, people can do those fasting mimicking, people can do a tea, herbal teas to help move the liver and the bowel. I worry about those being too much in the winter time. I reserve those more to that fall, spring, but just more of a simple fast is probably my after New Year favorite choice.
Excellent.
For people that don't understand, I mean, I did that a lot, especially on my healing journey, because it creates something called autophagy, which is stressing of the body, but it actually starts to release growth hormones. It heals the body, ultimately gets us back into a state of ketosis and things like that. So really, if you find one that resonates, and again, we have Dr. Walter Longo, check out the fasting for him. I'm sure he's on YouTube, but this is a great way to start healing the body, resetting the body. And it does not take long. Within 3 days, we're in full-blown growth hormone happening. And we're in that body where our body is starting to heal and all those cells are being removed. It is very powerful, very powerful. We have another question. So and this is from somebody actually I know. I was recently diagnosed with level 1 autism and ADHD. Do you suggest anything holistically that I can take or implement in my life to kind of help navigate? And I'm assuming this is later on, a later diagnosis.
I'm assuming for like an adult then?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, usually the first thing, with, autism, God, from my standpoint, there's so much involved in what's happening with the body and the physiology and the genetics with someone with autism. So really, what I usually do is I usually refer to someone who specializes in it, because the amount of knowledge base that's necessary to do those beautiful people justice, is super important. One of the main things that I, know about, there is a process that we genetically go through in our body called methylation. And so especially if this person has ADHD and autism, somewhere on the spectrum of autism, you want to look at this process called methylation. So what happens in our body, in every cell of our body, that every cell in our body wants to make its most powerful antioxidant called glutathione. And when genetically we have this gene mutation, and there are these 2 genes associated with when these genes don't function appropriately, our body does not use folate correctly, and then ultimately does not make, because that's like folate is like if you think of those old-fashioned water wheels where the water pushes the wheel around and the water comes out. And if that water is the glutathione, the folate is the energetic force that pushes that that wheel around, excuse me. And when our genes don't work very well, it becomes like a cog wheel. And so we don't make our most powerful antioxidant glutathione, which unfortunately makes us more toxic, more prone to inflammation, more susceptible to holding on to heavy metals. So with regards to, disorders with regard in the brain, keeping the diet super clean, absolutely gluten, dairy free, because there is a lot of information about gluten and how it impacts brain function, even with bipolar disorder. It creates a lot of imbalance within the brain. So, dietarily, for sure, gluten, dairy free, looking at food sensitivities, potentially doing a true elimination diet. You can easily get tested through saliva to see if you're methylating or not, or see if a functional medicine doctor will run a test for methylation, which is very easy to do through blood, and then, from there, it's again that gut-brain axis about balancing the gut microbiome when anyone has either autism, ADD, ADHD, and even looking at how, the liver is functioning, making sure that's proper. There's some beautiful homeopathics, like energetic type medicines that work. I love any type of energy medicine for anyone on the spectrum of that sort. So when you do all those things in combination, people do really well. Like they do much better. So, I mean, I know that was a lot, but hopefully that answers the question.
Got it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. What type of energy kind of like supplementation would that look like?
Well, I love homeopathy. Homeopathy,
Got
it's
it.
you know what homeopathy is. So, it's
Yeah.
energy medicine. So I found like I have an autistic nephew who's just beautiful. And, he had very significant speech delay. And basically, once he started doing homeopathics and in working on his methylation, he really kicked into gear and came online again. And so I'm very grateful for that.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I love it. I mean, there's so many things that I feel like we are given. And I do think, when someone is on the healing journey, you do have to find what resonates with you. Because let's say for me, I loved homeopathy or botanicals, but for someone else, it's more so about Reiki or craniosacral, or they have to do more nutrients or sound therapy. Like there's so many beautiful modalities out there, and it is about, again, following your intuitions and your guides about which road that you should go down. And you'll know, like, because, and the body, heals in layers. It's like peeling an onion. So it's like if you find that you've gone down a road and your body's kind of stagnant, don't feel frustrated or go down back to the road of despair. It's then saying, okay, I may need to re-navigate, and what's the next layer that my body needs at this moment. I'm probably, Richard, you could speak the same way to your journey. I know that was the same for me, is that as I was trying to heal and I just kind of plateaued, and I may have taken a moment of pause because that's what my body needed. But then I would know, okay, now it's time to find that other thing that's going to help me heal. And by the grace of God, it did. So,
Thank
Yeah,
God.
I did that. I did the elimination. I removed all the inflammation, even down. I did a very extensive heavy metal and parasite detox. Um, that was probably about a good 3, 4 months in. I removed all types of anything toxic, whether it was herbs, spices in the cabinet, detergents, things like that. I found that that really actually made a huge difference, even down to the water I was drinking, no lead, plastics, things of that nature. Um, and then kind of got to a point where plateaued and I needed to reset. But I also used a lot of things like the fasting. I would do, every, say, 2 weeks, I was doing a 3-day fast. I was doing sauna, about an hour of sauna every single day to create that autophagy in my body. And I was following amazing people on YouTube and Dr. Barbara O'Neill and Dr. Eric Berg and, people like yourself that I just amazing information for a natural approach, because we can heal our bodies naturally, especially if we don't conform to the medical system, or, we've had bad experiences or don't like what it does to us. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's that's one thing I always try to remind people even when I was on TV. The body is amazing, and it really does have an extraordinary capacity to heal, and we just have to give it the opportunity to do so, and great things can happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think the methylation information is very important for people. I have had clients that had the inability to methylate their B vitamins, their folate, and it shows up in a lot of different ways, right? It shows up in the brain, it shows up in anxiety, it shows up in digestive disorders, shows up in all kinds of ways. And when they were finally diagnosed correctly, and they got their methylation ability under control, and they were able to absorb, especially like you say, the folate. Oh my goodness, They felt like a completely new person. So I think that is very good information for people to consider or speak to your doctor about. It's a very important process that maybe isn't getting enough praise or enough push to test for it.
Yeah, it definitely is a lack of focus or attention on it. And you really, unfortunately,
Mhm.
do this day and age have to be your own healthcare advocate, and there is a lot to what are called SNPs, which are like our genetic like dysfunctions, if you will, that contribute to pretty much a whole host of issues. There's a whole field of science called epigenetics, which is, there you have your genetics and what you're given, but epi is in Greek means above. So it's really what occurs above the gene is what's turning on and off those good and bad genes that we are given. And the amazing thing is that what people don't realize that we have over 70% control of those genes, like what happens above the genes that turn them on and off. And so when you realize that, if you could look to see what your SNPs are, and you could do a test like there's like these online ones like Genetic Genie or like even again, I don't make any money off these people. This is just you can do your own search, but like, you know, 23andMe, they have the health profile where you can get your, all your SNPs done, and you could see because it's not just like MTHFR, there might be a COMT gene. So we're finding out that once these genes are off through nutrition, you could actually help, in essence, fix those genes. I'm not saying it's like this is like when someone is born with a genetic disorder, that is something different, but these are more like how our body's functioning that gives us a predisposition to those issues. Does that make sense? And again, once you're able to look at them and see what nutrition can be helpful for it, it's people really do like their health does kick into gear. It's really quite amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Pina, we don't want to
Unbelievable.
keep you too long. I know you have to go back to work and you have clients,
I
correct?
do. I do.
Yes. Okay. So we don't, Richard, do we need to
So
ask her
real
anything
quick,
else?
how can people reach you?
Mhm.
Also, I did have another question that it came in. Do you take insurance? And can our listeners from all over can they do telehealth?
Yes, so I do have patients around the country, so I'm very blessed for that. So absolutely, telehealth is an option. The great state of New York does not allow me to take insurance for naturopathic care. It is unfortunately because I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I try to modify it by taking some plans as with acupuncture, but really unfortunately, you could always write to your New York State legislators because we've been trying to get naturopathic medicine, the scope very different in the state for as long as I've been in practice for 22 years over here. But so I do try to make it reasonable for patients. But if they do want to reach out, they can always look at my website, which is www.innersourcewellness.org. And I'm not so good with social media, but I am on Instagram and Facebook, but I need to be better about my presence. But on my website, we'll have the office phone number and email, and you could always call us and inquire to see if I'm the right choice for you and if I can help you out.
Good. We need
Give us
help
your
here in New
book
York.
again, because Dr. Pina has a book. She is
Yes,
an author.
I am. I actually let me grab it for you. I'll show it to you. It's the Little Book of Healthy Beauty. And
Mhm.
basically, in here, you can get it on Amazon. It's a great stocking stuffer, in my opinion, where it really just gives you the basic guides that I talk to my patients all the time. And even has a questionnaire in there where if you feel like you're really good about exercise, but you may be weak in detox or sleep, it'll basically have a little questionnaire to be like, hey, you may need more help in this area, and you could flip to that chapter and work on that part of yourself.
Love that.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah,
it
well,
was
thank you guys.
it was really an honor to have you here. I love your approach. Your patients are very fortunate to have, your care and your
Uh,
knowledge and experience because it's unbelievable. And you have phenomenal energy, by the way.
thank you
Um,
so much.
so I want to wish you a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you choose to observe. Sending you much love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You too. Merry Christmas. Happy New
Thank
Year.
you.
I so adore you both so much. Only wishing you continued health, love, blessings, and success in the next New Year and forevermore. So thank you, guys. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
You.
Happy holidays.
Happy
I
holidays.
will be talking to you very soon.
Looking
Okay.
forward to it. Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We love her.
Absolutely amazing. And I think people
Mm.
need to understand that no matter what you're going through right now, that there is an answer, there is a solution. It's
Yeah.
going to take a little bit of being an advocate for yourself, educating yourself, listening to your body, your intuition, and finding and aligning yourself with the right practitioners and
Mhm.
modalities. And holistic approach is not for everyone, right? It's not for every people want, the white coat, they want the prescription pad, they want to go to a CVS, Walgreens, that's okay. That's okay. But this is the alternative, and there's so much out there.
Well, I think that you can integrate both if you need to. It's very good to expand the mind and to know that there are some natural holistic things to do that can help. All right, that can maybe do something that the traditional medicine isn't doing, or maybe a complement to traditional medicine. So, open-mindedness, it's the way of the future, the integrative medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it works for our animals too. What
Oh,
people
yeah.
don't understand is they think because even our animals, and I'm gonna stand on this platform again, with my dog, Gia, she got diagnosed with a very, very aggressive, dangerous autoimmune disease that basically can kill an animal within 3 months, called SARS, where she went blind instantly, causes some form of dementia, attacks the liver, kidneys, and the shelf life is not long. And then also got diagnosed with lymphoma at the same time. And that was last March. And she is thriving through acupuncture every 2 weeks, and about a slew of Chinese herbs and holistic medicines. A lot of the standard process, Pauline, I don't have it here, but the
Hmm.
stuff that you had told me to take, the Congaplex and things like that, and she takes. So it's all natural.
Yep.
And this March is going to be 2 years that she is alive and thriving. So
Wonderful.
again, the stuff works, and not for everybody again, but there are alternatives. So
Wonderful news.
yeah,
Well, Richard.
yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we will be back next Thursday at 3 p.m. our
Yep.
normal time. Again, we're taking your calls. This is going to be setting out the holidays in a right way, connecting you with your loved ones, doing some energy healings, questions of the Akashic records, things like that, whatever you have. Or even if you just want to stop by and say, Happy Holidays, ho, 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 whatever it may be.
We'll see you all next week.
Next week. Thank you so much. Everyone, have an amazing week, and be kind with your words and show yourself some compassion and grace.
Yes. Happy 12/12 portal. You are love. You are light. And I'm sending much love.
Thank you so much, everyone.